All right. I'm gonna wait for some folks to jump on. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Hopefully. All right. Looks like the internet is kicking in. Let's see if anybody jumps on. If not, I'm just gonna say what I gotta say and I'm gonna be out. I got homework. I got lots of homework too, books and reading and all kind of stuff. Let's see. Let's wait a little bit. I see that there's 5 folks in here. Y'all gonna want to sit down for a little bit, take a note. I don't know. This is not a family meeting, but it will be a family meeting. We'll just pull up some stuff. Hey Jennifer, how you doing? Y'all, I'm hot. Like I'm so, and when I say hot, I mean like upset. Like I'm literally shaking. I'm so upset. Hey Auntie, y'all. Hi Rakita. Hey Raina. So y'all, yeah, I'm really like upset. Like if I was to say that I was PO, like I'm like lit. I'm so just trying not to not to give in to all my ugh that I feel right now. So I'm sitting downstairs. I'm just living my life, okay? Living my life, doing my homework. I got homework for days, and it's all due tomorrow. But I have all this homework. I'm doing this homework, and my friend texts me and she sent me a tweet from Lecrae. Now Lecrae is a Christian hip hop artist, and he's been around for a minute. And he's like, to me, he's leaning left and going with CRT and stuff like that. And that's not that's not for me, but I don't judge him or nothing like that. Everybody got to lead their own little journey. But I'm gonna sound the alarm and warn. But here, this tweet said, what if the Christians who want to reduce the number of abortions supported what if the number of Christians who want to reduce the number of abortions supported funding healthcare for women, dealt with the systemic racism that creates poverty for women of color, and address the income gap between white people and people of color? Y'all, my blood pressure went up because this is the problem. Let me explain. So my retort to that, and I retweeted it and I said, or what if we openly discuss abstinence, define murder and healthcare, and talk about why we have so many churches in poor Black neighborhoods and still see high rates of teen and unmarried pregnancy? This post is a shell game. Y'all, it's a shell game. What does systemic racism, and I can talk about systemic racism, but what does that have to do with abortion? If we want to talk about systemic racism, then we should do that. But the only thing that, or if we want to talk about systemic racism, we can do that. But it's different. Systemic racism doesn't cause abortion. You want to know what causes abortion? Lack of morals, poor doctrine, okay? Lack of discipleship, lack of discipline. Let's talk about the things that cause abortion, and we can talk about systemic racism, how you define that. What are the things that may feed into that? But don't tell me that systemic racism is causing abortion. Don't tell me that systemic racism is now taking away my ability to be a moral, responsible Christian. How do we have you literally, y'all? I grew up in South LA. So I know that there are churches upon churches on every corner. You can't go 2 blocks without passing 4 churches. What are the pastors here doing to speak into their community prophetically and say, we not having no more babies out of wedlock? And as a matter of fact, if you in wedlock and can't afford these children, y'all need to go and figure out your employment, your education, and every other thing before you decide to lay down and have a baby. There has to be something responsible. There has to be a conversation of responsibility and discipleship. How are we leading people? And we want to talk about the Black community and blame abortion. And I don't normally talk about abortion, y'all. Y'all can go back through my stuff. I don't feel like I normally talk a lot about abortion, and I don't do it for a number of reasons, but I feel like this conversation directly impacts unity and the issue of race. Because what people want to do, they want to play this little bait and switch kind of shell game, as Crystal would call it, because they want to say, oh, look, we have high rates of abortion. That's the white people's fault. Well, what white person told you need to go and sleep down there with old Joe Schmo? What white person then told you need to go now that you've slept with him and you need to have an abortion? No. This is the issue of doctrine. This is the issue of your morals. This is the issue of discipleship and of discipline. This is an issue of scripture. Y'all, where it says do not murder. I don't understand. And people are like, well, it wasn't viable for life. Maybe it wasn't viable at all. No, it would be viable if you left it alone. Y'all, I was so hot. I was so hot when I saw this because what Lecrae is setting up, he's setting up young people who listen to his music and follow him on Twitter. He's setting them up to believe that if you have an abortion, of course it's because of the white man. Of course, if you have an abortion, if you live in poverty, it's not your fault that you slept with, Pookie and them, but it's the white person's fault. And the church, especially in these areas, hasn't addressed this. We have been silent. We cannot be silent. We can't hold our tongue and just act like Lecrae is cool. Like he just saying what's real. He ain't saying what's real. He made that mess up. He didn't. It's made up. It's made up, and now we will raise another generation of young people to think that you aren't cracking through the glass ceiling, you aren't graduating, you are always going to be oppressed and held down, you always going to have multiple children out of wedlock because the white person who live over in the mansion on the corner, or the mansion in the next city over, he keeping you down. That man ain't thinking about you. What you should be doing is thinking about you, y'all, y'all. Mm-mm-mm. Y'all, I don't even know. I don't even know. Like, where do we begin as, and I'm gonna talk to people of color. Like, where do we begin as people of color to begin to invest and speak prophetically into our own? We act like, oh well, it's this the white person's fault. This ain't the white person's fault. Now, can I shift out history and be like, well, this over here happened directly because of racism. This over here happened directly because of injustice. Yes, I can do that. Can I look at some things today and say, yes, these things happen or are in place because of systems that were in place in the 70s and early 80s and well into the 90s? Sure, I can do that, but I can't do that with abortion, y'all. I'm sorry. I can't say that no person with less melanin than me has now made me have an abortion. And all of abortion. If we want to talk about abortion, then we need to talk about healthcare. Well, what kind of healthcare? How are you defining healthcare? Is this reproductive justice? Abortion isn't healthcare. Again, you guys, we have to be aware of this bait and switch. And if you are being blamed as a white person for black abortion, you need to say, "Hey, that ain't my business. Like, I don't know who he done slept with. I don't know who she done slept with, but that ain't on me. That is not on me or my people, y'all." The indoctrination and lies are so ingrained. Only God can cause the scales to fall from their eyes. Praying for revival. Can you repeat the issue? What did Lecrae tweet? Christina, you can follow me on Twitter at the real Monique D. But Lecrae tweeted, "What if the Christians who want to reduce the number of abortions supported funding healthcare for women, dealt with systemic racism that creates poverty for women of color, and addressed the income gap between white people and people of color?" So, yes, this goes back to the garden, like Adam blamed Eve, and like Eve blamed. If you don't come on, Chris, I used to say this all the time. This is a problem that we have had since the beginning. Always got to look to somebody else to put the blame instead of taking personal responsibility for yourself. Instead of taking personal responsibility for the people within your congregation. I'm sorry, but if you the pastor on Florence and Normandy in South LA, and you know that area has the highest number of teen births or teen abortions, you need to be doing something. You need to speak directly into your flock. Let me see. Yeah. Monique is feeling spicy today, and I'm here for it. Yes, Auntie. Auntie, oh yeah, I can't even, but it bothers me so much to think that this is where we are as humanity. Like, that that I have to, instead of pursuing unity within the church, that I now have to blame other brothers and sisters within the church for things that are my personal responsibility. That, y'all, that's not okay. Anyway, that is what I was here for. I was here to get my anger and to vent. Um, just because I was y'all don't fall for the okey doke. You don't have to fall for the okey doke. If you white and they like you, look, black abortions is your fault. Don't fall for the okey doke. Don't fall for the bait and switch, the shell game. They want to talk about systemic racism. Cool, talk about it. How do you define that? Where do I see that in law? Like, where do I see the written codes of systemic racism? Cool. We can talk about that. We can talk about it all day long. And we can talk about abortion. Let's just clearly define what we're talking about. Because now he wants to talk about abortion, and now he also wants to bring all these other things into the mix. Mm-mm. Nope, don't do it. And a person who is not um like thinking about these things truly, like really deeply, they will read his tweet like, oh well, I guess I have to. They didn't provide me no health care. Oh well, I guess I have to. Which is not true in the state of California anyway. I don't know where he is, but I know that if you're pregnant in the state of California, you can get Medi-Cal. You might not like the doctors that they assign you or whatever, but there is healthcare options available for you. So there's that. Like, okay, so we're talking about healthcare. I was in social service for many years. I can tell you which doctor, which office, where you need to go to get your health care, how to make sure that your baby gets health care, how to make sure that they get formula and diapers and all kind of things. There's plenty of stuff when you are low income. If you find yourself pregnant and in that situation, I'm not judging. I'm just saying there are services available if that's where you find yourself. So what is he talking about? I don't know. I don't know. And I don't know how systemic racism um, makes me makes me pregnant. Last time I checked biology, systemic racism didn't create pregnancy, nor did it create abortion. So, y'all, I tell you, I don't normally come on and feel like I be fired up about abortion. Now that doesn't mean that I'm not passionate about it. It's just not. I don't feel like it's my lane. I feel like there's this one lady, Bevelyn Beatty, and she be all fired up and she like that's her lane. I'll talk about unity, I talk about justice, but if we're going to talk about justice and unity and things like that within the church, to me his quote was perfect in the bridging of those two worlds, of abortion and unity and justice. It is unjust to blame someone for your poor moral decisions. To me, that's a issue of morality and an issue of justice. And to me, it's just a crap move. Like it's that I wonder. Like I feel like it's a justice conversation to so remove people's like level of responsibility. To me, he's just creating another victim narrative. These are no. We need to have conversations about this. So now you're just a victim to your circumstance because of what's happened in America's history and because of healthcare. I have no idea, but this is we can't allow for generations to come up this way believing that this is this is okay. So I feel like shame on Lecrae. That's wrong. It's so wrong. His post is wrong and it's leading other people, especially young people, to me down a trajectory that could really set them up for for things that are way beneath and below what their potential. So that's it, folks. I am now hopping off of here. I appreciate you being on here. Let's see. Isn't Lacrae a Reformed Christian? I'm a bit surprised to see Reformed people like Keller supporting CRT. You know what? I believe Lacrae and Keller, and then also Akimini Uwan, Jamar Tisby, like they're all Reformed. I don't know what's going on with the Reform folk, but I mean, that's neither here nor there. Yeah, it's sad that someone with his platform and reach makes a statement like that, and then the impact it will have. 5,000. There was like almost 6,000. It was like 5,700 people had liked his tweet. I'm like, what, y'all? This is a problem. This is a problem of orthodoxy and orthopraxy. Like, how do we walk this out? We need to be having different conversations. If we don't start having different conversations, I don't know what to think of what the next generation's going to be like. I really don't. All right, y'all. I'm back to my homework. White woke Christians aren't helping people of color by making abortion more accessible. Not their health, not their soul. I can't even. I cannot even. So to me, for lack of a better word, the worst people, and not worst people, but like the worst voice in the woke movement is the white woke Christian, because they're speaking many times for the person of color and what they believe that people of color need, or what black people need. And I'm like, I don't know how deep you've been in the inner city. I don't know how deep you've been in relationship with a lot of these people, because you speaking a lot of stuff. And when I talk with my friends, that's not really what we're saying. Or how many of the white woke, especially the white woke women, come out and use their voice and their platform to get all kind of money. Like look at Robin DiAngelo. If she really want to elevate black voices, she would sit down with a person of color, examine their thoughts, teach them how to write a book and the process that goes into that, and allow them to write a book and get all them millions of dollars and go into schools. She ain't about to have that. She gonna keep telling you what she think is wrong and get your $20 million when she go to speak. I can't. I cannot even. Yes, Jennifer. I saw some encouraging replies too to Lecrae's thing. It was just unfortunately the what I saw more so was people who agreed with it. Like I saw this one post on his, or one reply, and it was like, and while we're at it, can we talk about the shaming that goes into women who have abortions, and can we get better access to abortions? And I'm like, my goodness. So now you want better access to abortions, and you know, like there becomes an entirely different conversation. I don't believe that you should be shamed. Like nobody is sinless, and so we can have a conversation of what happened. We can talk about repentance, but to think like from his post, we now get to, can we also talk about better access to abortion, not better access to healthcare, better access to abortions in safer neighborhoods. Yeah. So, hey, Katie Taylor is my friend in South Africa, and I love her. Yeah. So, yeah, y'all. But this had my blood boiling, and I'm not going to. I can't sit up here and lie. Somebody would see this and be like, "Weren't you one who was just saying a couple years ago that you believe that choice is all God gave us, and we need to allow people to be pro-choice and to choose what they do with their bodies?" I did. I used to believe that. I used to be a proponent of that. And I think that's what sparks this anger so much, is how, when you're in critical race theory, I don't think you really understand just how progressive you become. You can literally go from, I want to do social justice, to, and abortion is okay, and this is okay, and we should be doing this, and we should be doing that. And it's just like, no. I'm like, not only do I want to come out, but I want to come out swinging, and I want to bring other people with me. And I don't want people to get caught up and wrapped up in the same mess that I was wrapped up in. And all he's doing is promoting some of that same BS. The same. In order to talk about abortion, we got to talk about systemic injustice. That mm, the heck we do. No, we don't. And white people, look. If you are of European descent and do not have as much melanin than I do, this is not your fault. It is not. It is not your fault. And don't let nobody put that on you. That, oh, well, white people need to lament and repent, and and speak out against systemic injustice. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't speak out against systemic injustice, depending on how we define that. That's a whole nother conversation. I'll call it this, I'll call it injustice. That we shouldn't, we should speak out against injustice. I believe that we have a biblical precedent for that. But abortion ain't your fault. There's 1,000 decisions that went into a woman choosing to have an abortion before she had it. And those are personal decisions. And so, yeah, I wanted to come on and say that. So take deep breaths, focus on your homework. You are going to be so much more prepared. Thank you for taking time to share. Thanks so much. Yes, I do need to get on this homework, y'all. I am not even playing. So I'm out of here. I will see y'all Thursday at the family meeting. And that's it. Bye.